Let y be a number. Translate the English phrase into a mathematical expression. Then evaluate the expression for y equals -5. So notice the directions are asking us to do two things. First, we're being asked to translate. Then we're being asked to evaluate. So those are going to be two separate things we're going to be doing. So let's take a look at this first one, the quotient of 10 and the number. So quotient. Quotient is one of those key words. Whenever we see the word quotient, we know that we're going to be dealing with a division problem. So when we're being asked to write a mathematical expression for the quotient of 10 and the number, there's a couple of ways we could write that. We could write it with the division sign like this, or we could write it with the division sign like a fraction. And it's good to have both of these that we're able to do. And this way is actually the preferred way in algebra. We're going to see less and less of this division symbol and more of the fraction symbol. So let's take a look at this. The quotient of 10 and the number. Well, up here we were being told that y is the number we want to use. Let y be a number. Okay. So if we're going to do our translating, the quotient division of 10 and the number, we said the number was y, 10 divided by y is how we would translate that. Or if we were to write it in fraction notation, we could write it as 10 divided by y, just like that. And we're not going to use the long division symbol. This isn't something that we would use in a regular translation problem like this. Okay. So remember we had to translate, but now we have to evaluate. So let me just get rid of this little arrow here. And if we're going to evaluate this now for y equals -5, let's use this one because this is the preferred version. So there's my translated version. Now we're going to evaluate for y equals -5. So 10 divided by, now instead of y, we're going to put in -5. And we could say, oh, okay, 10 divided by -5, well, we know a positive divided by a negative is a negative, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So that would be the evaluated part. So keep track of which part is the answer to which. Here's my translation. That's the translation. And here's from the evaluation. It's important that we know which is which. Okay. The second problem, the product of the number and -5. Now we have a different word here. The product. Whenever we see product, product is talking about multiplying. So the product of the number and -5. We know that the number that we're dealing with, the variable they want us to use is y. So y. The product is multiplying. Now we don't want to write down the -5 like this, because then it becomes confusing. Is this multiplication or is it subtraction? So as we know, we want to use these parentheses. So we can write it y with the multiplication dot, -5, or we could just use our old friend juxtaposition. There's the product of y and -5. Notice when there's no symbol between the y and the parentheses, that means that we're going to be multiplying. That's that juxtaposition. So here's our translated answer. And then when we do our evaluation, remember what we're going to do is we're going to take the y, we're going to isolate it, and we're going to substitute -5 in for the y. And then it's going to end up getting multiplied by the -5 that was part of the problem. -5 times -5, well, negative times a negative is a positive, and 5 times 5 is 25. And again, we don't need to write that positive sign if we don't want to. We can just write our answer as just plain old 25.